from the Amazon. We're talking to Steve Yatomi as we speak. In fact, we were just talking a little bit prior to this. But we got a show. We're gonna veer off into travel, and he is live from Manaus on the Amazon, one of my absolute favorite places to fish. They dialed it in even more since we went down in those early days, and we're ripping them with musky rods and 80 pound and big wood choppers, tearing your shoulders up. Now, thank God they've got it refined now because now I can go down there and fish like a gentleman. More like bass fishing. But you're going to be pulling on these big hogs and everything else, but it's going to be fun. So, anyway, Phil, we got Steve live. Steve, can we hear Steve if we talk?
You should.
Okay,
Steve.
You there, Steve-O?
I'm here.
Hey, boa noite.
Boa noite.
Yeah, okay. So, what's for dinner tonight? Do you get in to have a real Brazilian barbecue? Are you in?
Oh my God. The food here is just so fantastic. The only thing is, when you order something, it takes 20 minutes, but it's good and fresh.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh my God, that was probably always the highlight of those trips when I would escort the group over to the big Brazilian barbecue. I mean, that what a huge complex, but I mean, it was unbelievable. That was probably the biggest finishing touch you could do on any trip. Walk in there and there's 5 steers sitting there in the pits, sushi bars. I mean, it had everything. It was unbelievable, and the price was unbelievable too. I mean, my God, it was hard to come back, hard to come home after dealing with that. It was unreal.
Hey, I changed things up a bit, before the group comes in. It's always good for everybody to know a little bit about culture. So what I've been doing is taking them to go swim with pink dolphins, go catch a little bit of arapaimas, walking in the rainforest because we're on a houseboat, and you really ever get off of the boats. You're pretty much on the boats all the time, and so a little bit of culture and showing them the world famous freshwater fish market, and this is a great tour.
Oh, that I remember the aquarium. That was phenomenal. And then one of the most extravagant things that probably in the world that people would never believe is the opera house there in Manaus. I
Oh,
mean,
it's just
unbelievable. Still world class. Yeah. Where all the
yes.
rubber barons, I think it was their money that put that up. Of course, they had endless money, but they're the ones that built that. It was so extravagant. I've never seen anything like that. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Tremendous amount of culture. Yeah.
Yeah. So we do that before the trip and get them all wound up. And then the next morning we take off on the flight. It's about a 2-hour flight to Santa Isabel, Rio Negro. And then from there, the first day we fish a half a day. And most guys think, okay, this is a half a day. I'm gonna get warmed up and get in tune for this fishing. But I tell them, no, you can't be doing that. You have to be serious because we are in special waters here. So the guys that are picking up on it right away have got 20 pounders on the first day,
Oh,
first half
nice. Beautiful.
day.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. And the tackle is so much different from ripping. I mean, my shoulder's aching just thinking about ripping those wood choppers all day. But I mean, I found the energy for it every day because it was worth that blow up, man.
Yeah, they've gone a long way. Since you've been fishing, there's probably been 5 generations of prop baits, and they've been made water dynamic so you can pull them through the water easier. And you pull them, you really wouldn't mind. I mean, it's really easy.
That's awesome. Yeah, my shoulder can't take what I was doing with those wood choppers. I mean, it'd kill me now. But I mean, that the blow up still, I mean, oh, I'm seeing some of the footage you guys are getting. It's phenomenal. It's hard to explain to these guys till they go down there and do it. But I think what they don't see and don't understand a lot is the part of the culture part, being down there, just experiencing, the life down there and in Brazil. And you get enough of the city stuff going into Manaus, and that's great. But to get that, the Amazon, my God, it's unbelievable.
Pretty
Yeah.
special.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, Omar has a question. He wants to know, what kind of fish do you fish for on your tours, Steve?
we fish for peacock bass. We have 3 different species we fish for, and then we have cats, and then miscellaneous species, arowanas, piranhas, stuff like that. But on this river here, it's a big fish river and big water. So we really concentrate on catching big peacocks. A big peacock in this river is about 27 pounds.
What a pig. Woo, woo. Nice. Yeah, they don't have any idea. And you know, you can't explain them till you get that blow up and your heart stops. But yeah,
Yes.
they're special. There's nothing about it. And then they're so beautiful. That's the other thing. But to have a fish that size and you're pulling on 'em with the line we'd be fishing big tuna with, it's the explosiveness, the speed. I think the speed too. I can remember getting blown up on, and by the time I started to wind down on it, it was already out of my vision. It was off to the side and jumping over way 90 degrees away. I go, holy smokes, and you turn like that. It's just so exciting. It's unbelievable, the strength. But the blow-ups,
Yeah.
legendary.
On the strength, I mean, they bend 4X hooks on the turn. It's pretty amazing. Pretty
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, I think, Steve, I think I changed a bunch of mine to 4X trebles on those choppers. The problem was they were a little heavy. They squatted the bait a little bit, but I remember straightening out some 3Xs.
They straighten out 4X hooks too.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
That's unreal. Guys, I
Yeah.
mean, we use you'd have a hard time straightening out a forex out here on a tuna, guys. So it tells you the explosiveness, and they're crazy. Plus, they're beautiful, acrobatic. I mean, it's something else. If you like fishing the iron, this is fishing the iron on steroids. Yeah.
Couple more comments here. Q Ball says, the Amazon, man, that's got to be like fishing in a monster movie. They're hot and all kind of crazy stuff, all kind of weird stuff. Omar wants to know, and Omar, good to see you. Q Ball, good to see you. Omar wants to know, how do you catch peacocks? What do you use to catch them?
There's numerous ways to catch them. You can catch them on a walking bait, a prop bait, a minnow bait, a spinner bait, glide bait. Same thing you would use for green bass, just a little bit stronger.
Yeah. You can get them on a fly. Get them on a
We
fly
got
too. Yeah.
just
It's
had quick from Fisherman's Hardware down, and he got a nice one, about a 16 pounder on a fly, a 12 and a
Wow.
6.
That's pretty cool. That is so
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. Amazing. And Zato, the thing I want to reiterate with the viewers here is like when you with your experience, you told me to bring a fly rod down there. I was, and I'm thinking, yeah, right, on the Arapaima. But you were absolutely right. Because when Pete talked about it on the show earlier, with Demers when he came in, we're so competitive, we're pounding the water, but with the Arapaima, their ears are so sensitive. You get a couple casts. I told Pete 2 casts each, and after that they sink out. And that's when it hit me, and I go, "Doggone it!" Steve told me to bring a fly rod, and that we could have thrown and cast and thrown and cast because of the silent entry, you know, and fishing in 4 to 6 feet of water. I think when we were down there in Guyana, and
Yeah.
you got 2 guides, so if these things head through the weeds, one of the guides will hop in the water and make it veer out. So they are very landable. So and it was my mistake. Steve told me to bring a fly rod, and I said no, but way more effective because you can with those bigger baits that plop on the water. Pete and I would get maybe 2 casts each, and then they'll sink out, and they're down for what 45 minutes or so. Steve, they're air breathers.
Yeah.
So yeah, no. When he told me that, I was after I saw those fish, right, after the first couple casts and watch them sink out, I go, doggone it. Should have brought the fly rod. So listen to your outfitter, folks. He knows, you know, get whatever he tells you to do, and you're going to be in great shape. You'll have your fish of a lifetime.
Hey, Dan Smith, I don't know if he's trying to get rid of me or what, Steve. He says, can we send Phil down there with a few surface irons? I would love to come to the. Hey, you know, this has got everything written. Danny's talked about it. I've heard you talk about it, Steve. It's not only the fishing, which I adore, but I love the adventure of something new and unique. And you talked about introducing people to the culture when they get down there to start things out. Man, that just all sounds so awesome to me.
Yeah, the place is amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, like I say, here you're in the middle of the jungle, and you got the most extravagant opera house in the world. You know, Steve, what is it? There's gold. I mean, it's unbelievable. I have you explain it, but I mean it was so beautiful to see and take a tour of that. It was well worth it. And they still have what? They have concerts and stuff still there, don't they?
Oh yeah, I went to a couple of them last month. It was just phenomenal.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. And this
Yeah,
house,
built in
yeah, go ahead.
1890. 1896, they imported Italian marbles along with the Italian artists to paint beautiful murals on the ceiling where, you can walk to the other side of the room and the eyes follow you. The floors were made out of the same wood as the Stradivarius violins. So it's a pretty awesome place. It's still rated as having, I guess, the top 5 best acoustics in the world. So it's a great place.
Well, what they expended on that back then was ridiculous. They could never replace it by today's standards, but with the same material, right? It'd be way too costly. It's amazing. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Yeah.
Cue Ball says everything in the Amazon wants to eat you. It's a scary place. Absolutely on my bucket list. He says he can't wait to do it. And Gary Bush, he says Merry Christmas, Danny and Phil from Gary at Lama Class Rods. Gary,
Oh, cool.
good to see you here. Dan Smith, Cue Ball, nothing will eat Phil.
Yeah, chewy. Yeah. Okay.
Gary Bush says, we are rolling out our new amazing tuna rods in January. Come see them at the ISE in Sacramento. Thank you, Gary. We will do that. And yeah, everybody's laughing about the fact that nothing wants to eat me, Steve. It's not funny.
Now, Gary, are those the ones, the rail rods that I fished? Those prototypes? Yeah, I will have to wait till you answer back. But I fished like a 100 and like an 80. We didn't do a 130 or anything like that yet. But unbelievable, And I think the guys that are zoned in have the technology for that. Being able to utilize a straight graphite, they're not for everybody, and I'm going to tell them that for now. It's absolutely.
Gary says yes, sir.
You got to know exactly. Okay, those are the sticks that I've had. So I think I had them on our trip.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's unbelievable. It's going to change the world. Again, it's not going to be for the guys that high stick or anybody else, but the guys that know how to use the rail correctly, that fish will come up. And because of the recovery part, being straight graphite, phenomenal. And just the weight factor. It's comfortable to fish, But Lammy was, one of the first ones Lammy was the first ones in the graphite, So it's absolutely the place that earns that right to put out the first graphite railroads. So I can't wait, Gary.
Gary says from our good friend Mr. Kiono.
Oh yeah. I just talked to him. I just talked to Brad the other day too. We talked about
All right. Abel,
looking forward to it.
Abel Canizales says hello. Abel, great to see you. Abel, I told you my wife would steal that beautiful cup you made me. She stole that like in 30 seconds flat. Halibut Man says congratulations, Gary Bush. PNS Harjack watching from Montana this evening says good evening, gentlemen. And Isaac says Merry Christmas, everyone. Danny, love your shirt. Love your outfit.
Oh yeah, that's my formal T-shirt. and that was done as a spoof. It was one of the old travel agents, even a little bit before Steve's time, but Chet Young, who's been on the show before too, he actually did the silk screening on it. And back when I was on the boats, all I wore was flip flops, t-shirts, and shorts, right? So we were doing a day at the docks, and we decided to spoof at that time the fish ties, the formal actual ties were huge, but we kind of spoofed it, and we sold out. We went to a gross at a day at the docks. It was unbelievable. And this is the shirt, a yellowtail, kind of put in a fake collar there, a printed collar.
No, that's awesome.
Rolled them in white paper like it was butcher paper, like it's a piece of fish, and that was a Christmas present. We sold out of them. It was unbelievable. Yeah.
Steve, people want to know what time it is in Brazil and what your day ahead looks like.
It is 8:20 p.m.
So it's Betty Bye time.
Yeah, a little bit. We go to bed later here.
And what's the day look like for tomorrow? Can you give us an idea of what time you get up, what time breakfast is, how many guys in a boat? What's the day like?
Breakfast is normally at 5:30, and we're on the water at 6, and we return at 6 or 6:30.
That is a full day of fishing.
What people don't realize is that you can be in great shape, but what hurts the most is your hands. I just had Zeke come out. He has the state world record or state record for swordfish out of San Diego. He was just on the boat. And boy, after about the 5th day, his hands were pretty sore.
Yeah. They'll figure it out. It's extreme fishing.
It's extreme fishing.
Yeah.
It sounds like it.
So cool.
Hey, Dan Smith is asking you guys. He said, Steve, Kim and I have been watching some of the Japanese teams fishing the Great Amazon Fishing Rally. Looks like super light setups and super heavy. Can you talk about the variety of fish available there?
Well, they were fishing in central Brazil, and they have a good variety of fish, but they don't have the giant peacocks there. The giant peacocks come in a 500-mile square zone, a little bit of Colombia, a little bit of Venezuela, and pretty much western Brazil. This is where you get the big ones.
Yeah, those have been trophies that I've seen. Yeah.
Okay, now back to the tackle. This season I had a bunch of guys from Southern California bringing their swim baits and their swim bait rods, which are a little bit long. And here, they're all kind of looking at me with these 5'10" rods. You just gotta fish smart. You can cast a long way, but then again, you're gonna give up that advantage to that peacock because he's gonna take it where he wants to go when you make those long casts. So making a nice medium cast, hook them up, you stay in control, put them to the boat. We're fishing 65-pound braid with a 60-pound leader, 4X hook. And, if we're not by wood, it's not an issue. But they break 60-pound leader fairly easy.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah, I fished a lot of 80 on mine, yeah. But yeah, you can't believe it. I mean, it will get you hooked though. The minute you get that first blow up, it's over. You're done. You're cooked. You're back the next year with Steve. Yeah, there's nothing like them.
Cue Ball says he is really impressed with the time you give people on the water. That's a full day's fishing, he says.
That's a full day. And you know what? If you don't want to spend a full day, you can come back to the boat and they'll make you a hot lunch. You can take a siesta for a couple hours and go back out. So, you don't have to spend that amount of time. But most people from SoCal, they don't go back to the boat.
Good stuff. Another guy here, Gary Bush, back from Lamaglass, says he's guessing that the nomad poppers would get destroyed down there. Are they effective?
We haven't had much luck. We threw some nomads. They're nice. You know, there's a nomad that works good for the Arapimas in Guyana, but not for the peacocks. They weren't working as well. Just walking baits. Your old normal walking baits work really well.
Oh, that's cool. Well, it's definitely scaled down since I've been down there with you, Zato. Because I
Oh
mean, I
yeah.
still remember tearing up my shoulders on the wood choppers. But I mean, the explosions are worth watching. But I mean, it's so much work. I physically nowadays, you know, he's got the lineup on the lures and the tackle, and it's different. So you got to adapt to what the times are. I mean, I worked extra hard, and it was worth it at the time. But now with these different methods that they're using, um, and different baits, I'd go that route. I think I'd last a lot longer, and I need to anyway. Yeah.
Oh, you last the whole trip. You know, when I first started, I fished 4-to-1 reels. They make 9-to-1 reels now. It's crazy.
Scream it.
Yeah, I fish a 7 and sometimes an 8, but I like sevens. Sevens work well, and I fish a 150 size reel. I don't even
And
fish
then,
a 200 anymore.
but the gear ratio doesn't bind being that high.
Well, guy, I don't know. The guy I fished with, Austin Ernest, he fished Abu 9-to-1, and he got a 21.
Wow.
Well, I mean, he's a young buck, and he makes these beautiful swim baits. But I fish a 7. I think it's 7.3 at Iowa, and then a short rod, and it's really efficient. It's light. I can make 800 casts a day. I don't know if I make 1,000 casts a day anymore, but 800 good casts a day.
Yeah, you guys have no idea. And it was brutal. I don't know, even with those wood choppers, I was putting in a lot of casts. But man, I know I can't do that anymore. That's why these new baits are the way to go, for sure.
Yeah, there's a new bait made by Nakamura. It's a plastic bait, and you throw that, and you'll just get a big smile on your face. They just pull so easy.
Oh my God, yeah, that's a lot different. It was so much work. Plus, you couldn't get those wood choppers if you want them. I think Lure Jensen's not making them anymore, right? Is that true, Steve? I haven't seen them.
They're just not efficient. I mean, they make you work.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. It worked. I mean, it was a nice blow up, but yeah, it was a lot of work. Way too much, especially at my
Yeah,
age.
this I don't know. This season I did 6 trips, and I didn't throw one wood chopper. So it's good. I got, I don't know, 5 fish over 20 this year, so it's good.
Oh, that's good.
And for the people who don't know what a wood chopper is,
Big chunk of wood, like about this big, folks. 3 hooks, and at one time we were mixing between 3 and 4X hooks on them because we'd straighten them. And I was fishing those things with 80 on a musky rod, and he'd straighten the hooks. It's unbelievable, But I like his method. I'm watching the tackle they're using now. But Zato, that's 20 years ago. I think when I started going down, right?
20 years or longer.
Well, it was like right around 9/11, because I remember pulling into every airport and there were all the armed guard, everybody with M16s and you know. But yeah, no, it was a lot different. And folks, thank God the technology and the rods, reels, everything else has changed tremendously. So, uh, you know, thank you, Steve, for doing the homework and make it easier on an old guy.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's been
hey Steve, just anticipating what some people are thinking. Anytime you cross the border, Danny knows this, I know that, people get concerned about safety. I go to Mexico a lot. If you do everything right, you stay out of bad areas, like you stay out of bad areas in Chicago, New York, everywhere else, like you do anywhere else in the world, you're good. How are the trips? Safe trips? I'm assuming, obviously, yes, but it's nice to assuage everybody's fear about that.
okay. So once you get off the flight, clear customs, my representative, she'll pick you up, put you in the bus, take you to the hotel, and you'll relax. There's somebody with you all the time when you're down in Brazil. Um, Either that or I'm with you, taking you touring around the city. But somebody's always with you. Like you said, Phil. If you're looking for trouble, you'll find it. Like anywhere in the world. But Manaus is a great, friendly place. I really like it here.
Yeah, I've got. I still have a hammock. I've hauled back. Oh my god, fun stuff though down there.
Some of the people are asking about the cost. What's a trip like this cost?
It could go anywhere from about 5,000 to about 6,500. 6 full days of fishing, all your accommodations, all your meals, snacks, unlimited beer and liquor, maid service every day, laundry service every day, all your transfers, charter flights, everything is included. We even
Unlimited,
That's awesome.
unlimited beer and liquor, man.
yeah. You know, the beer on the boats kept -2 degrees.
Wow. Well, there you go. Hey, Omar wants to know. Of course, in Brazil they speak Portuguese. I'm sure there's where you're fishing. Some of those indigenous people have their own dialect. But he wants to know if I go and I only speak English, am I good?
Oh yeah, you're good. You're good. That's what you have me on the boat for. I'll do all the translations for you, make sure everything runs smooth. No variables, or very little bit of variables.
You know, Steve, I'm going to tell a little story on the first trip we went down there. I think you're going to remember this. Is really funny. But you know, we were all paired off fishing the boats, and what was it? Diane and what was her husband, Larry? You know, from Blythe. Okay,
Terry
you
Top.
Gary. Yes. Okay. So one of the first days, and Steve always said, you know, whatever the Ponga guy says, your guide, you listen to him, right? So they're kind of narrow and they're long, and you're in a bunch of caiman around there, and Diane was playing around with this one caiman, and the guide's going, no, 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 don't do that, don't shaking it off, and she wanted to get a picture. Well, it comes close to the stern of the boat, and the guide conks it on the head with that. They have the wooden paddles that they carve out, and this thing swims straight back behind the boat in parallel with the boat, right? Straight back. Makes a U turn, heads right back, right at the engine, jumps in the boat.
Oh my God.
The guy, the guide goes overboard. He goes overboard, and they go up. They run up to the bow, Diane and them, and this thing luckily starts coming at him and then slides off to the side. And meanwhile, Diane's going, telling her husband, "Did you get the picture?" And he goes, "Are you crazy?" We died. We died. But the guide would not go back for the next day. Remember, we had to change boats, Steve. But I mean, some
Yeah,
of those things. I mean, I tell that story, and it's a true story. But I mean, it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen and heard. You know, and so the adventure's there for all kinds of stuff, guys. It's amazing. But the moral of the lesson is, you listen to the guide. When the guy says no, you don't do it.
yeah.
But yeah, no, good times. Yeah.
Hey, speaking of that, that's such a great story. I mean, you don't see that on the half day boat Monte Carlo out of 22nd Street Landing. You're not going to see that. What other types of animals? I mean, do you see anacondas? What do you see that would like blow people's mind?
Well, we're fishing. We see a lot of blue and gold macaws. We probably see 30 to 40 at one time flying. So that's pretty nice. There's a good lot of ospreys, different type of smaller eagles, not the harpy, but smaller eagles. We do see these giant river otters that are 6 feet long. Um, we do have some arapaima, some small ones. in that 100-pound range. But that's pretty much it. So occasionally, I guess about 3 weeks ago, a jaguar ran across the river, so we were able to get a little bit of footage of that.
I saw that
Um,
picture. Yeah. Got
yeah.
a picture of it. Yeah, it's amazing. That's nice that you see it because one time we were cutting our way into a lagoon and, our guides pulling the boat with a machete and there's two guys in another boat behind us and they're clearing the way and we're sitting in the boat, but you can hear these footsteps off the side. You can't see anything. I mean, it's a cutaway, cutting a hole going from the main river to a lagoon and he's pulling it in there and we're hearing these like footsteps. And I'm going, I think it was Paulo was his name. I think it's Paulo. What's that? He goes, Jaguar. And I go, yeah, Jaguar? And I mean, we're just, now I'm standing like this, breaking my neck looking for the same. But, of course, they got it down. They got a machete, and that's all they need, But it's unbelievable experiences, Steve. I mean, and that in itself is worth those experiences. It's unreal. So it's kind of endless. It really is.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we also get hogs. You'll see that sometimes or smell them at least. Occasionally you'll see a tapir. Um, but that's pretty much it. You'll see more like river otters. Yeah, they're very territorial. They're not afraid of boats, so they're always there protecting the young.
Hey, Mitchell says he's chiming in. You guys got a ton of people watching from all across the globe. He says, I would love to catch a peacock bass. The colors and head look amazing. He thinks they look like a freshwater sheep's head. I have to agree. They kind of do.
Those things are it's not just the colors. Those things are they fight more like a saltwater fish on steroids. I mean, I can't explain to you that it's not a largemouth bass. They will drown a largemouth bass. These things are the blowups are violent. They pull. They're so fast that, like I said, I'm blowing up here, and then next thing I know, you just see this, and here's this thing jumping out of the very furthest part of your peripheral, that fast, particularly in shallow water. It's just unbelievable. And you have to experience it yourself to believe it because your heart just goes, you got to be kidding, And that's why one trip wasn't enough. You get hooked. You really get messed up with those fish. Yeah.
I always apologize to people because when they leave, they get the peacock fever, and they all want to turn.
That's it.
Hey,
That's a fact.
as I know you don't want to encourage us, but have you ever eaten one? They got to be good eating too. I know you don't want to encourage it, but has there ever been one that died in the battle and you said, let's try it?
Yes, on the Rio Negro, they'll allow you to harvest one or two for dinner, but on this river, it's 0 kill. We have monitors on the boat, so we have a real good sustainable fishery for that 170 miles. No peacock killed.
Yeah, but there's a lot of good eating fish down there. Anyway,
Yeah,
besides that, yeah. Yeah.
I take you on the tour. I'll take you to have tambaki, which are the best ribs in the world, aka the Amazon Oak. They get up to 50 pounds, and you can imagine a 50-pound bluegill. Well, that's how they fight.
You got to be kidding me. That sounds bitching right there.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that
Life-changing experience. Yeah.
it eats fruits and nuts, so the meat is it's just awesome. And then, I always try, because we don't really eat peacocks on the boat, I take them into town and then we'll have a peacock dinner so they can, experience that. And they all love it. They all love it.
Well, that fish market in itself, Steve, that's an unbelievable deal. It's huge. To just see
Yeah.
that fish market down in Manaus is quite a sight too. Yeah. So
The
those are
market,
the fun things you do when you're in town. Yeah.
the banana market, the watermelon market, and the greens market, it's all pretty amazing. And you've seen the pictures of how low the water is. Well, on high water years, the water is inside the market, up by about 45 feet.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Hey, so you're focused mostly on peacock bass, but Mitchell, halibut man, wants to know, what are some of the biggest fish in your river? Is there any like mammoth fish in there?
I would say Arapaimas. Arapaimas get up to, in that river, maybe about 200 pounds. Cats about 200 pounds.
That's freaking
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
In
yeah.
a river, man.
Yeah. But and if you really want a big arapaima, you go with Steve. But those ones we got in Guyana, they were huge. They were huge. They're really, really big fish. Yeah.
The
So
biggest,
you get spoiled.
yeah, the biggest fish we documented in Guyana is 120 inches by 58-inch girth, which taped out to just about 500 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a unit. That
It's
is
the
a unit.
largest fish in the world, the Arapaima giga.
Do you guys catch any of those giant catfish there? Cue Ball wants to know.
Oh yeah, we do. We do. We don't get them really big. We get them around that 100 and 150 pound size. But in the central Brazil, where we catch these giant wolffish, we get them well over 350. Big ones.
Holy smokes. That's a lot of hush puppies.
It's a big blue cat known as the Laus, Piraibas.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's a whole different world, folks.
Mitchell is saying, and he's curious, are the peacock bass in Brazil the same? He said he's seen videos of Florida peacock bass that'll bite almost anything, like a blade of grass on a hook. Do you see the same kind of thing down there?
Well, the peacocks that are in Florida, they're most butterflies, Tqckle, ocellaris, and then on the top they get to about 12, 13 pounds. Somebody in the aquarium had an aquarium and they dumped all these fish into Florida. And then, most of them are doing good. But there's a couple Arapaimas in Florida too.
Hmm.
Yeah, somebody released a couple Arapaimas there
Holy
too.
smokes.
But
My
yeah,
my
one,
God. Yeah. Cue Ball says, good God, in fresh water. Yikes. Like
Yeah.
fish to
Yeah.
500
Oh yeah.
pounds.
Yeah.
And Halibut Man's laughing. He said, Danny instantly thought of how much food those cats can produce, man. A lot of hush puppies.
Oh, jeez. But Steve once took me. We went to a fish market in Manaus, and usually you go for the Brazilian. Well, we did. We always do the Brazilian barbecues. But we went to a fish market, and he took me one of the first trips. So I think it was like 2001 or so, and we had arapaima, and you talk about delicious. But see, that's been one of the problems in Brazil with overfishing because it is so good eating. uh, it's susceptible to getting fished out. So, having the management that they do now is a much better way to go. And Steve's
and
helped bring that back, with, the area that, Steve, what's that called? Your reserve in Guyana, right?
yeah, Arapaimas, it's a zero kill in Guyana. But in Brazil, they have a lot of fish farms there and they grow really fast. Fish farms for Arapaima is all over Asia now. So you can get all these fish, and they all taste pretty good. They all feed them, all the natural different types of fish that swim in the Amazon, and it's really reasonable. I just bought some. It was $4 a kilo for some Arapaima bellies,
Wow. Couple bucks a
and
pound.
and
Delicious. Yeah.
it has every bit as much oil as a bluefin belly, and it's really good. I got to tell
Yeah, it
you,
is.
Mo, Carson ready to go miso yaki style.
Wow.
So
Yeah. No, it's experience, folks. You really need to go down. And the nice part, especially with Steve, is he's over the years, I, countless years of homework with travel. Starting out back, but he did a lot of stuff with Larry Dahlberg with the Hunt for Big Fish, and Steve's refined a lot of these things to where it's dialed in so well. And all you got to do is listen to him. Not play with, not tease the caiman and stuff like that. You'll be fine. You're good. Yeah.
All right, Gary
Yeah.
Bush says he's going to do Lake Amador tomorrow. Time to get the Hughes craft ready. Very interesting show today. Hope to see you both at the Pacific Coast Show. We'll have our elite tuna rods there. Merry Christmas to everybody. And he says, awesome show. Really, really enjoying it. Jason Allen is joining us from Seattle, and he said he's just tuned in. Happy holidays and great fishing for 2024. Are you doing all Brazil now, Steve, or do you do other parts around the world also?
Yeah, we do other stuff depending on. Right now, we're concentrating on Indonesia. I've been going there for the last few years and concentrating on the New Guinea bass fishing, and that is the elite type of bass fishing in the world. And we're developing that. We've got four areas that we're looking at. Also, in those areas, we have Napoleon wrasses. So we're combining that all together with snakeheads to do a 9-day fishing trip. Also throw in some GTs if you guys like catching GTs.
New Guinea bass. It's on my list. The only problem is Steve once told me that I don't know if he was joking with me years ago. He said they still had cannibals, and I could just see them licking their chops at me. They'd be eating on me, for days. So I said, yeah, well, I'll wait a little bit. Yeah.
Oh,
But no, that's New Guinea bass is definitely on my list. That's the
you
next.
have to pay attention on this bass because you're fishing with a lockdown drag, 100-pound test, 125 or 150-pound leader. Um, and if you're not paying attention, either you're going to fall on your knees, fall in the water. That's how powerful they are.
How big
They're
are they?
amazing. They get up to about 50 pounds.
Wow.
These
Yeah.
are bad fish to be able to do that. And Steve's he's always right when he's telling you that. And that's why I guess I better do it sooner than later because it's not I'm not pulling like I used to. But yeah, yeah.
And you say fish in a lock drag because they're near structure that you got to keep them out of, or what?
Yeah, they head right for structure. And you don't ever make long casts unless you want to just donate your lure. But I had some leadheads board, and they're Jobu hooks, Jobu tuna hooks. And that's what we fish plastics with for New Guinea bass.
Man, so many awesome places around the world, Danny.
He's got it dialed in too, Phil. That's the neat part, folks. There's no guessing. He will dial you in exactly, and you just do what he tells you. It's very simple. But he's got the experience and the knowledge and all that, and you take advantage of it. But they're like all once in a lifetime trips, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
Steve,
they
do you
are.
have? Go ahead.
They're trips of a lifetime. You'd really enjoy them. This last time I took Larry and Judy Mustaniak to Indonesia, and we went to a place where, how people describe we catch tunas this certain size and the GTs this certain size. Well, whatever we caught, it was double what they described. And I said, "Oh, this is a blessing. I've never ever been to a place. They always exaggerate and tell you how big they are, but this place was special. It was an uninhabited island off of one of the 100 and some islands off of Indonesia. Pretty special. And here we found the Napoleon wrasses, 60 kilos, 140 pounds. They're eating poppers.
Whew.
So we're developing that right, this coming year, and hopefully we'll have it ready for people that need to scratch that off their bucket list.
And I know there's a lot of people out there that have no idea what a GT is. I think they think you're including gin and tonics with the free booze. What is
Yeah,
it?
it's a giant trevally. Yeah,
I've
they're very, very tough fish, and you fish them with poppers and a spinning rod. You can try a casting rod, but spinning rods, that's a ticket.
I've caught trevally in Fiji fishing the rocks and throwing a popper, and that's a blast, Danny.
Well, typical, typical Jack family. They're tough. Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Cue ball
So
says there's lots of remote islands in Indonesia. It's amazing. It is an amazing place. There's so many islands when I was cruising around the Philippines and cruising around Thailand, and it's amazing the geography, the topography, the islands that you see down there. It's like going to a new world.
it is, and there's just a very few people that fish it. I know Ben Seacrest, he fishes it every year. He goes to New Island for GTs, and that's where he has his best successes there. But for me, you can find GTs all over the world, and it's the New Guinea bass, the Napoleon wrasse that we're concentrating on. Also, the New Guinea spot bass. They're not quite as tough as the black bass, but if you can catch them on the same trip, it's a big plus.
Mm.
Along, I haven't found any big dogtooth tunas, but you can add that in the mix. We caught some in that 50-pound class. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah, cue ball says giant trevally. There's black ones, blue ones, silver ones. He says they're a whole beast in and of themselves. They fight hard. They're fun to catch, man.
They are. They are. So, I was thinking, most people go over that side of the world to catch New Guinea bass, but that's why we do these 2-week trips, 9 days of fishing, and we get the snakeheads, we get the guinea bass, the spot bass, the GTs, the dogtooths. We try and to be able to scratch off about 3 or 4 good fish off of the bucket list.
Wow, that's good. That's awesome.
Yeah, my kids are nuts about snakeheads. In fact, where was I? I think it was Taiwan with my son Patrick, and we hiked all over trying to find snakeheads. I finally told him, I'm over it. Let's do something else. But we were fishing like little small rivers where we were told there were snakeheads, and they're nuts about that, man. I know they'd love to go do that.
Oh man, snakeheads are awesome. That
Yeah,
that's a big one.
what's so appealing about them, and how do you catch them, and how big do they get?
I see them up to about 30 pounds. The guys that really hunt them, 30 pounds, and the baits they use are pretty much double buzz bait props with um popper type head, and it makes it wiggle real nice. And they fight good, and they're really beautiful. Their nicknames is their bodies look like a watermelon color. And it's a lot different than the snakeheads we have here in the States, but they're awesome. They're like catching a wolffish. That'd probably be the closest predator that I can compare them to.
Wow, that's awesome. Jeez, awesome.
And
Well,
but I found a place that has 30-pound wolffish. I mean, you remember how those little ones fought. These 30-pound wolffish, they'll jump and do a 540 in the air using a, it's pretty awesome.
That is so cool. Well,
Yeah.
that's one thing, folks. Make sure you're listening in on this because this is I call this all bucket list fishing.
yeah,
Really bucket list fishing.
100%.
But when you go down on a bucket list trip, you got to go prepared, and that's why you got to go with a guy like Steve because he has everything dialed in. Tell you what to do, what to bring, um, from start to finish. You know, from sunscreens to you name it, Steve has everything dialed in. So,
all the way to the clothes. I mean,
yeah, the
you know,
clothes, everything.
12 to 15 degrees if you use a navy blue or a black shirt versus a tan or white shirt.
Yep.
But
And
you know that wolf fish spot. We catch 20-pound pyaras there to add the vampire fish, and then you have a shot. You know, if you're fishing for the cat, you can get 300-pound cat. And my best day peacock fishing there, it's Tqckle marini, which kind of is like a butterfly size, was 250 in a day. So if you get the right tackle, you can have waffle.
That's a blast. That's a
Yeah,
blast.
we caught them up to about 12 pounds.
Yeah. Well, those pyre trip too. I mean, those fangs where they come, you know, it extends up into the head. And if you guys have ever seen them, they got fangs that go forever. It's unbelievable. Pretty one of the most vicious looking fish by the teeth. You know. Yeah, but it's fun
You know,
stuff.
I'll be doing the couple local shows. I'll be doing the Long Beach and the PCS, and I'll have some of those heads there and pictures and all that kind of stuff if anybody's interested.
Yeah, that's coming up soon.
yeah, Danny and I are going to come bug you. You can guarantee you that. I'm going to, I don't drink anymore, but I'm coming over and looking for those G&Ts. Let me tell you. Hey, do you bring your own gear or not, or do you have all that?
It depends where we go. On the Peacock trip, we have rods and reels. We supply Falcon rods and Shimano reels, so you don't really need to bring rods and reels. You know, tackle, I can give you a list and take you in Brazil to a couple shops, and you can buy some great Brazilian lures that are really different than the ones we have back home, and they're very effective.
Right.
Would any of those Brazilian lures be effective up here for bass fishing or anything else? What do you think?
Well, you know, I've got a package that I'm bringing a Rick Grover of Anglers Marine. He asked for them. He says, "Can you bring me some home?" Because I'm sure he's going to try them here. They're going to be effective here. They work very different than the walking baits at home.
Well, I'll leave it to Rick. He'll have him hanging on his walls at Anglers Marine. Yeah. He's way on top of it. Yeah, that's cool.
Are you getting
Yeah.
ready to have the dancing girls in there? Do you need to get some sleep? You want to say goodbye, or you want to keep going for a few more minutes?
You know, if we could continue this on and do a part two when I'm back in the States, that'd be great.
We can definitely do that, Zato. Yeah.
How about just leave any contact info or anything you want to leave before you say goodbye?
Yeah, you know, you can give me a jingle at area code 805-501-7403. My phone works around the world, so you can always find me. Or my email address is atafishing@gmail.com.
All right, I'll let you boys say goodbye to one another. Merry Christmas to one
All
another, and
right,
we'll
Steve.
end the
Thanks.
show.
Thanks for the shot. That was perfect timing tonight. Awesome.
And you know what?
Yeah.
Thanks, and have a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, all.
We sure will, Steve. You too,
All
bud.
right.
Travel safe.
Thank you.
All righty.
All right, we'll see you now.
Okie doke.